Greetings, sisters and brothers. Happy New Year. We made it 2021. 2021. So, 2021. I'm adding some years here. So, 2021. So, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. We have been kind of in the realm of wow. It's a wow. Wow. So we're going to go into a few things in addition to um, establishing an altar, an ancestral altar. So that's what I'm going to offer up today, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are, whatever time zone you're in. And I really want to take a moment to just breathe. We can just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Just 3 cleansing breaths of peace, love, and oneness. And that is a good way to kind of start the year. I've been in meditation pretty much the New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, and the day after. I was just kind of quiet and just reflecting the wins of the year, the opportunities, and everything that comes along with that. So, if you wanted to see if you were successful, the fact that you're still here on this plane, I would say that's success. Okay. So that is a successful feat because a lot of people, a lot of sisters and brothers didn't make it to the new year, unfortunately. And so with that, we just want to, just take a second to be in remembrance of things that will never come again in this plane, in this knowing, and the memories that will last for a lifetime. Yeah, so center yourself with that, center yourself with that, center yourself with that knowing, that trusting and believing that this is a new year, new opportunity, new sharing, everything new, everything new, everything will be new. So we know this in spirit and in truth. And so we want to just circle back and recognize our power. Some people will say we are the ancestors. Some people will say the ancestors are coming back, especially when you meet someone. They seem so far beyond their years. Let's just say they're 7 or they're 8 years on this planet, and they have the wisdom of a 30-year-old, even a 40-year-old. So we just want to recognize and have a memory as what I have to my right is my ancestral altar. And so I kind of had some dreams. My father passed in 2014, and I was a daddy's girl. And it was difficult. It was a difficult time for me, as it still is at the second. But I've been able to, if you will, navigate through that painful period. And to pay homage to him and his legacy, I have a lot of pictures. I have a lot of um, mementos. Whenever my father would, for example, whenever my father would go somewhere, if even it was just a family outing, he would always take a picture, you know. And so I will share with you one of his mini cameras, kind of old school, but it did the trick. It did the trick. This is a Continental. I don't know about that brand. Uh, Telefet flash. It was a built-in flash. You could turn the flash on or off on the side. So this is on his altar because I had fond memories of my father. Whenever we were going somewhere, my father would just pull out the camera. Especially when they became more portable and it would just be a pocket size. And so my father would always want to capture pictures of events or um, whatever we were doing, as youngsters. He would just try to capture the moment. And because he was a sign of cancer, uh, he was a sentimental person. He was a sentimental father. He, for example, had my the okay. So when he put my mother's rings, he was going to propose, and this was what, over 50 years ago. This is not yesterday, not 25 years ago. So this is like 50, over 50, because they were married from 1956 to 2014. So that was quite a while. Over 50 years. So he would, like I was saying, he was a Cancerian. So he's very, very sentimental. And he actually showed me a few years prior to his becoming ill, becoming sick, due to medical malpractice, is what I would say. And that's another story for another time. But in the spirit of our ancestors and my father specifically, because he's been gone 2014. Um, and so he showed me a few years prior. This was probably back in 2011 or 12, somewhere in there. He showed me a ticket that he kept, that he purchased my mother's rings, or engagement rings, and he had it on layaway, if you will. And of course he kept, that's the sentimentalness of him, the sentimental value that he had throughout his life. And we moved quite a few times. He didn't move that much, but my parents moved at least 3 to 4 times, as I know of, and this is out of state, and so forth and so on. He kept the ticket, if you will, of the where he bought her rings from, and this and that. And I thought that was just a snapshot of the caliber of man he was, you know. And so I did not erect the altar until the end of the year. So his in my understanding of spirit, I wanted his spirit to be easy, and his transition, all as painful as it was, for me not to just, okay, let me put the altar up. But it was on my heart to do with my father's passing because that was the first time to memorialize his passing on the altar. And so I have several pictures of him throughout different phases of his life. And he was a very, very stately man. And he really, he came from two-parent household. His parents were married and they moved to from the Carolinas. My father was born in North Carolina, but his parents moved to Brooklyn. They bought a home in Brooklyn uh, back in, I wasn't even born. So we're talking about 55, maybe somewhere in there. And so, no, 55, 60, 56, 50, somewhere in there, the late 50s. And so my father married my mother in New York, and they lived there over 30 years. I was born in Brooklyn. So my father really was kind of quiet, very observant, very intelligent, and a good chess player. I only beat him maybe once or twice. So obviously, I have fond memories of my father. I wanted to encourage you to set an altar, set an altar, set an altar. In fact, his birthday is July 17th. And when I'm driving in the valley, I mean, it's clockwork. I'm going to see 717. I'm going to see 717 at some point throughout the day. At some point, whichever car I'm driving, I'm going to see, his birth date on a vehicle. That's a wink to him, to me. That's how I interpret. But you know, like I said, I was very, very connected to my father, and in spirit and in truth, I just believe that spirit continues to move, continues to grow, and your love for the really departed just only magnifies, because I always recognize his birthday. That's what I choose to do. That's what I enjoy doing, to, give him gifts. He'll have his 90th birthday in July. So I'll have a big celebration. And that's how I choose to do any ancestor that you're close to. So they're just on the other side. They're just a whisper away. So with that, we really want to acknowledge and a libation, if you will. Every day, I always have a candle lit on the altar, and I have my father's um, pictures and all on one side. I have a pretty large altar, so I have my father's mementos on his and his family tree. The folks who have passed, so like my uncle Enoch. Um, my uncle Enoch was in New York. We grew up in New York, and he was probably younger than my father, I believe. Yeah. So, like I said, I have kind of not a demarcation, if you will, but I have quite a bit of my father's line and relatives on one side of the altar, and my mother's side. My mother's still on this side, so I have my cousins, my great aunt, my grandmother, and they're on the other side. So I have at least a candle lit at all times, at all times, at all times, at all times. I pour libation. I pray. I just have, I just send energy. I ask for their guidance. I ask for their protection. I ask for their wisdom. If I'm dealing with something, I just go to my altar and I lay on the floor, if you will, the carpeted floor, and I just ask for their guidance. I ask for their protection. And I give gifts. I give them likewise. Give my father, for example, he loved pickles. He was he used to say, he would get like he would spend like 5 cents on a pickle. That was the cost for a pickle, but not only one pickle. That's like a Jewish delicatessen that he would get the pickles from. And so it just didn't have, it wasn't in the jar, like Mount Olives or something. He literally had a specific, at a place that in Manhattan, he would actually have them shipped to the house in North Carolina. And so I found this Cats. They're in Lower Manhattan. They're still open. Um, and he was having them shipped maybe quarterly. He was really, really, a pickle guy. And the other thing, he enjoyed not only pickles but peanuts. So not any peanut, again, not any one peanut, but he would have to get the dry peanuts in the shell, and that was his like go-to. He really liked those peanuts, and watching a baseball game or something, that was his go-to. So I really want to encourage our sisters and brothers to, take care of your spirit, the spiritual essence of your life. The ancestors are just a breath away. When I say that, that is in my truth of knowing that they're very close to us, not only not physically, but spiritually, emotionally. They definitely are in front of us and behind us. I mean, sometimes I will go in a place on the blank. I will just see a memory of my father, a memory of my grandmother, a memory of my aunt, my aunt, um, my grandmother, my cousin Marion, my Aunt Hattie. There's so many aunts that I had, and they were just dear to me. And we just have to recognize that they are closer to us than we realize. And when we erect the altar, you want to have certain things, obviously, that are in memory of them. For example, I mentioned two foods, my father enjoyed, but my father was really particular, very, very particular with his wardrobe. So he would have been considered metrosexual. I'm not just being anything disrespectful, of course, but he was very particular with his shirts had to go to the clean. I mean, he was retired. He was still sending the shirts to the dry cleaner. So there was something about his persona was very meticulous with um, his representation, how he represented himself. My father, I remember one summer, we obviously we ate together, and people don't do that anymore, but we ate our meals definitely in the evening or the morning time breakfast, whatever, especially the summer we were off school, out of school. I remember on Jerome Street, the street that we were living on the first half of my childhood, and it was summer, it was hot, and New York is sticky when it's hot. It's yeah, it's enough. And so my brother came to the kitchen table. Now, granted, it was really, really hot. It was really, really hot, like probably 90 degrees and maybe 78% humidity. I mean, something outstanding with like that. So my brother came to the table without a shirt on. You would have thought, and my father was calm. My father was like, "You're not going to do that. Your sister and your mother's here," and that set the tone of his respect for us as females. So, it would have been okay, perhaps, if it was just the two of them. The fact that my mother and we were both, all of the four of us were at the table, and my father just nipped that in the bud, like, you don't do that. You don't come to the table without a shirt on. You just put a t-shirt on. So those were some of the things that I remembered about my father. And then also, I'm not picking on my brother, but it's just so much with him. But uh, it was my brother was, we're 5.5 years apart. My brother was like maybe 14, something like that. And I may have been, well, 14 minus, yeah, 15, somewhere in there. So like 8 to 10, somewhere in there. And my brother had started smoking cigarettes and he was getting loosies. If you come from Brooklyn, you're in a particular age group, you know about loosies because you would get loose cigarettes at the bodega at the end of the block. And it would be two for a nickel. That's where we are in that time. So two cigarettes, two Lucy's. So it was buying two cigarettes, Newports, of course. And there was a cost was of 5 cents, 5 cents. And so my brother, I don't know if he had a job or something, but a little part-time job after a certain age, and maybe at the drugstore, I want to say. And so he generated some revenue, and oh my goodness, my father, my brother had his shirt on. He had his shirt on, and he had not taken the pack of cigarettes out of his front. I mean, my father was never a smoker, never, never, ever, ever like, that's like, and so he said my brother just cavalierly came to the table to have dinner, blah blah blah. He forgot to take his cigarettes out and leave them in. So it was just not like a big scene. But my father said, Seth, I think you forgot something. You forgot to take something like that. But it was kind of like a sarcastic. And my father was like, "Oh my gosh, my son is smoking and he's so young." So Seth, if you're listening, that is something Daddy wanted you to stop. So hint, hint. Yeah, I think we had not a domineering father. No, but he was stern. He had a way, and you know we didn't fear my father. He was more inviting, in our lives, and so that was good because a lot of men, they're in the house. I'm not trying to portray that they're not, but sometimes it's on the terms of, support or visitation and all that. And I really want to encourage mothers and aunties and so forth. The father is the father, and he cannot be replaced. And because I was a daddy's girl, I could not imagine, I do mean imagine, my life without my father, as I was growing up. Because my father was very key and pivotal in my development. And I miss him dearly. I really miss him dearly. So this is a short video. I just want to encourage um, folks to have a big container of water. I change it out every day. I have some fake flowers. Sometimes I bring in some flowers, on maybe a Friday or a Saturday. And I also have some of the mementos that my mother gave me after his passing, like his autograph book from high school. Like I said, he maintained certain information, and I'll just show this to you. This was autograph. Yeah, this was an autograph album with um, this is from Brooklyn. So the original writings. I don't know if you can see all that. Yeah, this was really nice for my mom to give me because she knew I was a daddy's girl. And so she recognized that, and I received a lot of things when he transitioned. So I want to encourage you all, set your water, have a candle lit every day. White candle is fine, and some fake flowers if you need to. If you have fresh flowers, I bring those in maybe once a week, every other week, depending. Um, Pay attention to the dates on your when you're driving. I see 717, obviously quite a bit. And then sometime I see the 6/8, which is the day that he passed. And he left this dimension to go to another dimension. And so we have to not be afraid of our dearly beloved, departed. We have to embrace. That's part of where our strength lies. Our strength lies from ancestors. We recognize their presence in our lives. Especially a father or mother, I mean, they're part of your DNA, you know. So it's more than in keeping with our traditions. We talked about traditions last year. This is one. This is a strong one because this is something as simple as it could be. We need to revere, not be afraid of, the spirit of the ancestors. Ooh, because that's where our presence, the power lies. Because we gain strength, if that makes sense, through their presence in our lives. So recognize that, be at one with that, be at peace with that, and you'll see how your life will change. You will definitely see how your life will change. I mean, my life has been miraculous. I mean, it's been, I mean, what's the word? I mean, it has really, I haven't had any fear. Fear is false, false evidence appearing real. Forgot about it. False evidence appearing real. You don't come from fear, you come from faith. And that's all we know the faith of our people. We know the power of our people, especially ancestors. I mean, we can't even describe it, but we know the presence is there, you know. So I'm being encouraged of the new year. It will be a new fantastic year. And if you think anything else, I don't know why this shirt is okay. Now I'm at the end of the video. I'm kind of putting myself together here. So I think that our ancestors are just waiting patiently for us to be in recognition, um, to revere them in spirit and in truth. And so I want to leave that with you for a project. It could be a project, maybe just gathering pictures, especially if someone has passed, say, within the last 6 months, 8 months. That's probably a good time to get everything started with the altar. Gather pictures and mementos, things that put a smile on your face of memory. Because when it's not too soon, because you can speak about them without, I mean, you feel the emotion, but it's so, it's okay. You're in a good place. So pay attention to numbers, pay attention to the memories. You may dream about the person, or it may just be really, really, I remember having a few dreams about my father. Um, yeah, just within like within the year that he passed, I'm going to say he came to me in a dream about 2 or 3 times. So pay attention to your dreams. If you write them down, you have a journal, write them down, and these are all memories for you. So with that, I will send a good evening, and stay tuned for tomorrow. I'm definitely going to try and make it on a little bit earlier, because I know there are other people on YouTube at a certain time, so I'm just trying not to impede on their discussion of whatever they choose to discuss. But I just want to have like a separation of time within probably 6 to 7, and that would be on Mountain Standard Time. So that's where we are right now, in the Valley of the Sun. So we have beautiful weather today. We had a lot of really, really good, peaceful rest, and very good, uh, knowing that we are in a new year, new opportunity, new possibilities, and to erect an altar, that would be mwah. So your ancestors will be really happy with that. So with that, have a wonderful, safe, peaceful night. We will talk tomorrow. We'll get on tomorrow, Monday, probably about between 6 and 7. So make sure you like, share, subscribe to my channel, and the Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360. And so like, share, subscribe, and send comments. Love to read comments. And if you need to contact me, 602-775-9665, 602-775-9665. I'm pretty transparent, so if the phone starts ringing before the end of this, that means someone got my phone number. Yeah, I just want to be transparent and make myself available. And we'll talk soon. All right. Peace and blessings. Have a wonderful, beautiful night.